Hi there, I'm outside with my dog again. There is sun shining, but the grass is already pretty wet, which is disgusting because my shoes are wet too and I hate that. I'm thinking about the uselessness of the school system. I'm from Czech Republic, to make things clear. However, today elementary schools teach you shitload of stuff like math, geography, chemistry, biology, history, blah 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 blah. And most of that stuff will never ever be used. I personally absolutely hate when people tell me an argument that goes like this. Okay, but if the students won't learn these things, then they wouldn't know anything. First, I am not saying that they shouldn't be learning anything, but that most of what they learn is useless. And second, if that information is useless, then what would exactly be the problem when they wouldn't know them? Then there is a little better argument, which says that, okay, in elementary school you learn many basics, on which you base your further knowledge you learn on high school. Okay, that might already sound a little reasonable, but still, you only base that knowledge on a small fragment of what you have learned, and the rest is doomed. Therefore, what to do with that? And also, you always repeat those things from elementary school when you start your high school studies. Which will still lead me to a conclusion that the elementary school system is extremely ineffective, very provisory, and it needs a huge revolution, because this is useless. Yeah, and I want to add some things to that first argument, that if the students wouldn't learn these things, then they wouldn't know anything. Then that means that they should know these things just purely so they would know something. What the fuck? Like, the brain capacity is not infinite, and brain can't comprehend all the information, and you can't ever remember it unless you have some sort of brain implants. So this is not only useless but also impractical, because the only function of that information, of the knowledge you have, is to have it. Like, if no one asked you, for example, about some things from history or biology or geography, then nothing would essentially happen. It won't be a problem. Of course, you still need things like writing, reading, basic math, and also some elemental knowledge. Yeah, that's important. But then there is an abundance of bullshit you don't need. And you only learn for a test and then forget. That's what really happens. You need to work with the real model, not the ideal model, which says that students, when they go out of elementary school, know all the stuff they are supposed to. That's just not true. And now you are like, okay, you motherfucking smart ass. So what is your advice? What would you do? What would you teach? Well, I personally would teach things that allow you to process information, that allow you to decide what is right, what is wrong, that allow you to analyze, to search for information, like critical thinking. Because when it comes to critical thinking, most people are not bad at it. They completely suck at it. They are useless. Or analytical thinking, or searching for information. I've met so many people that have no idea how to search for information on the internet, and I personally have problems when it comes to books. Okay, I need to improve this. Then, of course, personal development. Most people are very turbulent people who don't know what they want, who don't know where to go, what their life is about. And they can't even face some situations because their legs will start shaking, they don't know what to say, how to react, what to do. Their personality is not developed because no one learned them how to develop your personality. And no, this is not a thing you would naturally learn. Most people I know are completely undeveloped and they need to make a shitload of work to improve. Of course, I would still learn like counting, reading, writing, some elementary information about natural sciences and social science. Then I would add analytical thinking, also maybe basic first aid, and maybe even advanced first aid, because most people are completely unable to perform these things. Yes, of course, you have some seminars, you have like 1 or 2 lessons in elementary school, but honestly, no one remembers anything from that. That's the real model I'm operating now with. I guess this is not everything I would put in that system. I would need to think of it a little longer, deeper, write it down, analyze it and stuff, but I guess that you get the overall point. Why I'm thinking about this? Well, first, the exam period is near, and I know that I will have to learn many completely useless things, which only effect is to pass a fucking test. or a fucking exam, and I will need to smoke a shitload of weed so I could even concentrate at that, because I lose the ability to take this system seriously when I realize how useless it essentially is. And I also start to be convinced that I don't want to be a teacher, at least not on elementary school. Because seriously, if you do something and you know that eventually it will be pointless, that the students will forget it and maybe just hate you because you tested them like insane and you were examining them and you gave them like bad marks, and then parents were shouting at them and it was basically a war, which is the result of bad personal development, which most people lack, then I don't know whether that has any sense. I guess it hasn't. Maybe a very little. And now you think like, okay, but if we won't learn those things like geography, history, biology, blah, 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 then what about them? Will they be forgotten? No, of course not. There will always be people who have interest in biology, in social science, in history, and so on. And this information will always be stored somewhere in the books, on the internet, and so on. And you will, of course, have basics of those information. So you can look at what interests you and then educate yourself further. And because your critical thinking and analytical thinking and information searching will be on a good or at least decent level, it won't be hard for you. And of course, I forgot a very important skill, and that's self-learning. Because if you master self-learning, critical thinking, information searching, and various ways of other thinking, then you no longer need to rely on some outside system like school to teach you, because you can learn by yourself, and that's absolutely priceless.